Alright, this is my alcohol stove. It is a pop can stove. This is my priming pan. This is the top of a mason jar. I find that this works great as a priming pan. It fits directly underneath the stove, and once you take out the sealing material, it has room here for the fuel to sit to act as a primer. I use a nickel for my stove. What this does is it goes over top of the filler hole. The fuel for the stove goes in here, and unless you stop that in some way, the fuel will want to come out of here and burn instead of being forced out of the jets. So by putting a nickel or a penny on top, it helps the fuel to come out of the hole. This also prevents an explosion. If you make your stove wrong and the vapor can't escape fast enough as it's heating up, you can have an explosion of your stove. This allows it to vent a little bit, and as it goes you'll hear it rattling a little bit as it's burping. But once it settles down, it's a very quiet stove. So I just use denatured alcohol. You can buy it at any hardware store. I already have about an ounce of fuel in here, so I'm going to now prime it. Just pour a little bit of fuel into the priming pan. Set it on top, put the nickel, and let her rip. You can see there it's burping a little bit as the vapor pressure is building up. The initial part of starting the stove can be kind of vigorous, so you just need to let it settle down just a tad. And once it starts, then you can put your stove on there, and that'll help light the jets. Alright, it's starting to go down a little bit. You set your stove on there. Obviously you need a windscreen for wind protection, but also to keep the heat in. Yeah, and there you go. You can see here how quiet it is once it's actually going. This will last about 10 minutes for 1 ounce of fuel. If you put 2 ounces or more in there, obviously it'll last longer. I can boil water. It's around room temperature in about 7 minutes with 1 ounce of fuel. Obviously a little bit more if you're out in the backcountry and it's cold, but this stove has done me really well over the last 2 or 3 years. I should mention the stand that I have is just some galvanized fence material that I snipped up and bent into shape, and that's worked great for the last couple of years. So that's my alcohol stove.